Hello and welcome to Phyre's LEGO Reviews. Today we're going to be looking at the LEGO Minifigures Marvel Studios Series 2. It is set number 71039 and the individual packages retail for $5 in the US. I went ahead and got a full box of 36, mainly because of the new packaging that are cardboard now, and there's no way really to tell which minifigures are inside of the packages. There are ways, and there's some other videos that kind of give some methods for figuring out which minifigure is which, but it's by no means an exact science. For example, if you go by weight, some of the minifigures in this series actually weigh the exact same amount, so it's pretty hard to tell which one is which. Much harder, obviously, than the previous plastic packages, which you could just feel and, feel for different pieces that, are exclusive to certain minifigures. So I'll just give you an overview of the outside of this 36 minifigure box here. So we've obviously got the full series on the bottom here, another view of the full series on the back. We've also got some detail in the background with other Marvel minifigures, kind of in a cartoon comic book style background. Obviously none of these are featured in the actual series. These are the ones that are in the series. And on the sides we have very large blown up pictures of, on this side we've got Wolverine, and on the opposite side we have She-Hulk. And I am not sure if that is the case for all of these boxes of 36, or if they change the minifigures that are blown up on the sides for different boxes, or if it's just She-Hulk and Wolverine are the standard for the series. We're going to take a look at these. We're going to discuss the packaging, a little bit more of the individual minifigures, and review each minifigure on its own, as well as the full series. So here's what the new packages look like. This series released in September 2023, and it is the first series with these new cardboard packages, and they're just little cardboard boxes, so again, there's no way to tell what minifigure is inside, and I really don't like that. We've had 13 years of minifigure series in those plastic packages, and you could feel what pieces are inside to identify the minifigures, and it kind of made it fun when you came across these in stores. Now LEGO has decided to leave it completely up to guesswork, making it completely random, and unfortunately I foresee this kind of as possibly the beginning of the end of the collectible minifigures. I can't imagine that sales are going to be that well, especially for the average person that can't afford to buy a full box like this to guarantee a full series. So I think you're definitely going to see people buying a lot less of these in stores without being able to tell which is which. And there's already been, reports of people just opening the packages to see what's inside and just leaving them a mess in stores and stuff. So I think it was a big mistake for LEGO to do this. They cited the reason as being environmentally friendly, to get rid of the plastic, which, I can understand that, but there are other ways they could have done this. They could have done paper packaging, where you could still, kind of feel the parts inside and not have it be this complete blind box. Or they could have just, done this box design, but shown which figure is inside each box. Now, obviously that takes away kind of the blind packaging design that has been in place for all these minifigure series. However, very few people ever really treated it that way, as a pure blind package, because you could always, if you were good at feeling and identifying the pieces inside, you could pretty much guarantee yourself what you were picking up. So yeah, I can't foresee sales of these being very good compared to previous series, and if they continue with this packaging moving forward, I'm worried that the LEGO minifigures line could end, or maybe, hopefully, LEGO will change course and come up with an alternative idea for packaging that allows the minifigure series to continue and be more consumer friendly. So we're going to open this up and see what's inside, and then we'll review the figures individually. So in opening the box presents another issue, especially if you plan to resell the figures that you have extras of, as I intend to do. There's no way to sell individual figures sealed and packaged anymore, because you can't identify them 100% until you've opened the package. So I used a knife and was able to break the seals on this one side, and I think that will be the most effective way to open the package, identify what's inside, and then resell it. But obviously it won't be able to be listed as sealed and packaged. but you can list it still as, like new or something on a place like Bricklink. So that is the method I would recommend if you're planning to resell these. Don't just tear it open. You can use a knife to break the seal of glue on the packages. And it looks like inside of here, it looks like we've got a Wolverine minifigure. So we're going to build that and then look at the whole series. Real quick, before we look at the individual minifigures, I wanted to show you the paper insert that is included in each minifigure box. So we've got the one side that shows off the full series and the checklist as you're collecting them. And, that looks typically like what they always do. We've got the LEGO Minifigures logo up here as well as Marvel Studios on the side. The reverse side shows some specific details of putting some of the figures together as well as some of the components that they come with that might require a little more work and might not necessarily be intuitive in every case. And then we've got a blown up picture of Wolverine again, and then that same kind of comic book art that was on the box, and as well as the individual packages of the minifigures with other Marvel Lego characters in the background there. And then it looks like there's an advertisement for some kind of contest down here to give feedback on the product. So definitely this would be something where you'd want to give feedback on, especially if you don't like the cardboard packaging. I can't imagine that anybody who collects these collectible minifigures finds the cardboard packaging something enjoyable or beneficial in any way. So definitely that is something you would want to give LEGO feedback for, and I would highly recommend you do so if you're not a fan of these packages, because really we need something better as a consumer. These packages just aren't cutting it, and I don't think they will last very long, or else the minifigure series won't last very long because people won't be buying them. So here's the Wolverine minifigure, fully constructed. LEGO is continuing to knock it out of the park as far as the design of the collectible minifigures goes, especially with these superhero minifigures. You can see there's just tons of detail all over the figure with all these printed designs on the legs. We've even got printing on the side of the legs, which is not that common yet, and they're obviously dual molded legs, so you can see the two different colors in the back here. You can see the incredible printing on his back and his arms, just an incredible amount of detail there. He's also got his claws that are separate pieces in each hand, and his cowl here, the yellow and black with the face underneath, and he does have a dual-sided face as well as an alternate hairpiece over here. Before we show you that though, I believe all these minifigures will come with this kind of little stand with this clear piece here, so that will allow you to kind of pose them in different ways and attach, the legs in different ways to this piece to give them different ways to be displayed, kind of jumping through the air or flying for the characters that can fly. And then he also comes with this accessory, which is a sentinel head. And I believe when this series was first being rumored and discussed, there were rumors that the full series, if you collected the full series, you would be able to build a full Sentinel. I don't believe that's the case. I think that just came about because the Sentinel head was included in the Wolverine minifigure, but I don't believe any of the other characters include Sentinel parts. It's just a little add-on for the Wolverine character. And we also get 2 extra pieces with his figure, another one of those clear pieces, and an extra set of claws. So here's the face underneath the cowl. So he's kind of got goggles on this side and a snarling grimace expression, and then on the other side just a more severe stern expression, and that side I believe would be the one you'd want to display with the hairpiece on, so we'll show you that in a moment. So here he is with that hairpiece on, and it's the same hairpiece that I believe was originally used in Series 2 of the collectible minifigures for the vampire minifigure, and has since been used in many sets and recolors. But yeah, I think it works well as the Wolverine hairpiece. Maybe not perfect. I think the old vampire hairpiece, which was I think even originally used on some Wolverine minifigures back in like 2012-ish, I think that actually fits the shape of his hairstyle better than this piece. So a little disappointing there, although, it works well enough, just not perfect. Next up is Agatha Harkness, and she also features beautiful printing on the dress piece and the torso. Unfortunately, she doesn't have printing on her arms like Wolverine did, and she's got a cape here She's got that same level of detail on the back of the dress piece as well as the back of the torso. We'll actually show you what that looks like in full in a moment here. She's got these purplish things that are meant to represent her, using her magic. These pieces have been used with other magical powered characters in the Marvel Universe in the past. She's also got the stand here, as well as the Darkhold, and it has a printed cover, as well as a printed plate on the inside for one of the pages here. So that looks really fantastic. She's got this hairpiece here that I believe is the same mold as used in the Banshee from a few years ago in the collectible minifigure series. I'm not 100% sure, but that's what it looks like to me. And here's a look at that alternate expression with her giving kind of an evil wink there. And this is what the back of her torso looks like with that same design as on the front. Tons of detail there. Up next, we've got Echo, and you can see her extra pieces in the background there, as well as the little stand that is included. And there's just tons of detail on this figure. I don't remember this particular outfit from the Hawkeye show, so I think this might be something she wears on her own show that is upcoming. It hasn't been released yet for Disney+. But what really blew me away was the legs. So if you're familiar with Hawkeye or the character, you know that she has a prosthetic leg, and they actually molded a brand new leg piece to represent that prosthetic leg. I don't think this leg component has been included in any other minifigure before. If it has, you can leave a comment down below and correct me, but this is the first time I've ever seen it, and they use a regular leg on the left side with the prosthetic leg on the right, and it was just something I wasn't expecting. I wasn't aware of this new mold for this, so it is really fantastic. You can see there's printing on the sides of both legs, which looks fantastic, printing on the front, and that's the view from the back. So the prosthetic side is a dual molded piece, so you can see the two different colors there. You can see the design on the back of her torso, printing all over her arms, and incredible detail on the front of the torso as well. This hairpiece looks really nice with this character. This might be the first time this hairpiece has been included in a character. You can see details on her braid there as well, printed details. So yeah, just fantastic. I'm not entirely sure what her accessory or weapon is supposed to be. I don't remember something like this from the Hawkeye show, and I can't tell what it's meant to represent. So if you know what that's meant to be, also feel free to leave a comment down below. She does have a double-sided head as well, with the alternate expression being a much angrier expression, and then this side more of a smile. Next up is Storm from the X-Men animated show, and you can see she doesn't have quite the same level of printing as the other characters have so far. So you can see there is detail on the torso and the legs, but nothing on the side of the legs. Nothing on the arms either. There's a little bit of printing on the back you can see under this kind of cape piece, which is a really unique design. They designed it so that it flows from her neck to her wrists, and you attach it around her arms as well, around her wrists. She does only have one side to the face. That is necessitated by the mohawk hairpiece, because obviously if there was a double-sided face with this hairpiece, you would actually be able to see it from this side. So unfortunately, because of the design, she only has one side to her face, and then she's got these lightning bolts here. So pretty cool pieces. That new cape piece is interesting. You can see she's also got this shoulder pad piece here. But I feel like this is kind of one of the more plain and less detailed figures, at least so far that I've seen. But it is an accurate figure. It does look like Storm from the animated show. Just not as much detail as the other characters so far, even Wolverine, who is also from the animated X-Men show. Up next, we have Kate Bishop, and just like all the other figures so far, she is full of detail, with printing all the way around on the sides of her legs and arms. We'll show you a close-up of that printing detail in a moment, but first I want to highlight the accessories. So she's got this new bow and arrow piece. I'm pretty sure this is a brand new mold for this series. I haven't opened Hawkeye yet, but it looks like he has the same piece in a different color. But that is a fantastic looking mold there for the bow and arrow. She's also got a pizza box here with Hit the Spot Pizza. A really nice detailed printed piece there. And then of course we've got Lucky the Pizza Dog with the one eye. So very accurate to what we see in the show. And you can see the full mold is this golden retriever dog. I'm not sure, but I believe this might be the first time we have this golden retriever mold in any set. I don't remember seeing a mold of this breed of dog before, so if it is new, it is really nice, and if it's not, it's still, really nice looking, and the fact that they use that unique print to give Lucky just the one eye, really fantastic detail there. She does have a quiver on her back in black, which will show you the back printing in a moment with that quiver removed. This is what she looks like from the front with that hairpiece, a really nice looking hairpiece. Again, with a lot of these pieces, I'm not sure if they are new for this series or an existing mold already, but I do not remember seeing this hairpiece in another set previously. So that really looks nice and is pretty accurate to what we see in the show. Here is a close-up on the printing on the torso and the legs. You can see tons of detail there, really fantastic looking printed details. You can see her arms are different colors. There is no printing on this arm, but there is on the other arm, and there's also printing on both sides of her legs, and it is different on both sides, so that really looks fantastic there. She does have a dual-sided head, so this side is kind of a smirking expression here, and then the other side is a much more stern expression, kind of a fighting expression. She's got a band-aid above her eyebrow and some cuts and scrapes on her face, and then this is what the printing of the back of the torso looks like here with more of that incredible detail. And next up we have Clint Barton, aka Hawkeye. And I was right, he does feature the exact same mold that Kate Bishop had with the bow and arrow, this time in black. He also comes with this owl, which if you've watched the Hawkeye show, you know an owl plays a somewhat minor but kind of crucial role in the finale of the series. So it's neat to see that included here. This figure is, I feel like, lacking a lot of detail, with the most notable part being the legs just being a plain black. There is no printing at all on those legs. So a little bit disappointing to see that lack of detail, especially when some of the other figures, most of the other figures really, have had incredible detailed printing all around so far. And he does not on his legs. But he does have incredible torso printing. You can see angles from the front here, as well as the arms are printed with those really nice details, and there is printing on the back, which we'll show you in a minute here when we show you his alternate expression. This expression being just a regular smile, and you can see that hairstyle there. Similar to Kate Bishop's, I'm pretty sure I don't recall seeing this hairpiece in any other minifigure or any other set. So I think it may be a unique mold, but I am not 100% positive on that, but it does fit the character very well. And here's that alternate face showing a more battle-worn expression with a band-aid above the eye and some scrapes there on the face. And then we've got the back of the torso here with more detail there. So another good figure, but not one of the best of the series. This will probably be lower on my ranking, which I intend to rank them at the end. Next up we have Beast, which is another fantastically detailed minifigure. You can see all the printed detail there on the front. There is no printing on the sides of his legs or his arms, but there is on the back, as you can see. It looks really incredible. His accessories are a mug with the X-Men logo on it, and I believe this brick-built contraption is meant to represent a microscope. That's what it resembles to me, so I'm pretty sure that's what it is. And the fact that Dr. Hank McCoy, of course, is a scientist suggests to me that that is the case, that it is a microscope. He does have a dual-sided face, which we'll show you in a moment. He's got a fantastic hairpiece here, which is combined with the ears. Lots of detail there. Obviously the black printed on, and really an incredible shape that is really accurate to what we see in the animated X-Men series. It's a really cool hairpiece, and it was created exclusively for this series. And he does have a dual-sided face, so this side features him with his glasses on, the more studious look of Beast or Dr. Hank McCoy. And of course, it is only fitting that the alternate expression would be the much more beastly expression with no glasses and kind of a snarling look with those angry eyes and eyebrows. So a really cool figure. I really enjoy the X-Men that they put in this series. I think my favorite of the three was Wolverine, but Beast is definitely a really cool figure as well. Next up, we have kind of an unexpected inclusion to this series, that being Giant Man. This is a character that we have not seen in any Marvel properties yet, although it is believed that he is supposed to feature in an episode of the What If series for season 2, but that season has not come out yet, so we have not actually seen this character on the screen. This is the alter ego of Bill Foster, who appeared in the second Ant-Man movie, and will obviously be featured in that episode of What If. The detailing is really fantastic. You know, it looks great. We've got that incredible amount of detail that we've seen on so many of these other figures, with printing on the feet, on the sides of the legs, on the arms, the dual molded legs that you can see extending to the back here. More detail on the back. You know, just an incredible amount of detail there, as well as some very nice printing on the helmet. We've also got this Ant-Man microfigure, which it does include an extra of. So, you know, a really nice looking figure overall. Just one that kind of surprised a lot of people just because we haven't actually seen it on the screen yet. He does also feature a hairpiece, so you can display him without the helmet, and he does have a dual-sided face, which we'll show you in a moment. So underneath the helmet, we have the face of Bill Foster, and this expression is a angry look. And then turning him around, he's got an alternate expression, which is a much happier look for the character. And then, of course, you can place the hairpiece on with either expression displayed and display the figure that way without the helmet if you prefer. Again, a nice looking figure, just one that kind of feels out of place just because it wasn't something that has been seen on screen yet. Similar to the Gamora figure from the first series of the Marvel Collectible Minifigures, which still also has not been seen since it was from a canceled episode of Season 1 that I believe will be done and released with Season 2. Up next, we have Werewolf by Night from the Disney Plus special from Halloween 2022, and he is also very detailed, just like all the others. You can see he's got the leg printing, the arm printing, and dual molded legs as well. It looks very nice. Of course, unlike some of the others, he doesn't have a ton of accessories, although you can see there's back printing there. A very detailed hairpiece, and he also has this 1x1 round tile representing the bloodstone from the special. So that is very nice. And he does also feature a double-sided head, so we've got this expression, which is kind of snarling, and then the other expression is a more happy expression for the character. So not one of my favorite of the series, even though it does have the arm and leg detail. I just feel like there's not a lot of different parts and new components to the figure compared to some of the others that we have seen in this series so far. Up next, we have Moon Knight, which is probably one of my favorite figures from the series so far. Like most of the rest, there's just tons of detail. You can see the printing on the legs, including the feet, the sides of the legs. We've got printing on the arms, a lot of gold detail, gold prints on those pieces. He's carrying the golden scarab beetle as well as one of his crescent weapons. Another one of those crescents is included, so you could potentially have him holding both if you wanted to, or just keep the other one as an extra. He has a brand new piece for the kind of hood cowl. It was originally believed that this was going to be the same mold as the Rogue from the Collectible Minifigures series a few years back, but nope, they actually made a brand new mold for this, and you can see the moon there printed on the top of that piece. He also has a white cape and back printing, which we'll show you in a moment when we show you his double-sided head. So this side of the head features the regular Moon Knight costume look with the bandages and the white eyes glowing through, and the alternate side of the head features his face as Mark Spector, but still with those glowing white eyes. And then you can see the detail there on the back printing, you know, just fully detailed all the way around. So this is a fantastic figure, definitely one of my favorites of the series so far. With only 2 left to go, I think this will rank at least in the top 3 when I do my final ranking at the end of this video. Up next, we have She-Hulk, which continues the fantastic detailing of this series of collectible minifigures. So you see the amazing detailed printing on the side of the legs, as well as the front of the legs and the torso. She's also got printing on her arms, and you can see from the back they are dual molded legs. She does have a hairpiece that has been used before, so not unique to this figure, but still the rest of the figure does look fantastic. And then we've also got these printed tiles, this one being a file on Emil Blonsky, aka Abomination. So a nice little Easter egg there. And then another Easter egg here is her cell phone, which you can see is displaying a call from Wong, who also featured in the She-Hulk TV show. So very cool Easter eggs there with this figure. Tons of great detail, again, just like all the others. And then she does have a dual-sided face, just like most of the others as well. So this side is featuring more of a smirking expression, and then on this side is a much more happy, smiling expression. And then you can see the detail there on her back. The final minifigure of this series is Mr. Knight, aka Stephen Grant, the Stephen Grant alter ego of Mark Spector and Moon Knight. So we get two versions essentially of Moon Knight in this series, and this one is very accurate to what we see in the show with the white suit. However, in execution, and it's not really any fault of Lego, it's just owing to the fact that the minifigure, or that the character's outfit is relatively plain in the show. There is not a lot of extra detail on this figure. There's no arm printing, very minimal leg and hip printing, nothing on the side of the legs, but still a nice looking figure overall, just not one of the best of the series. So you can see there's printing on the back and printing on the back of the head. Obviously he doesn't have a double-sided head because there is no hairpiece of any kind, so it wouldn't make sense to do a double-sided head, but you can see the detail of the moon, the crescent moon there on the mask, and those white eyes shining through. He's got these silver baton pieces that he uses in the show, and yeah, a nice figure overall, just not one of the best of the series. I feel like they could have replaced this with something better, which I'll talk about my ideas for what they could have put in this series in place of some of the more surprising figures, I guess, when we get to the end of the video. But he does come with an accessory, which is the goldfish Gus that is featured in the show. So this is a printed clear brick here with a tan plate underneath and a black piece on top. So it looks very nice. You can see there's a pyramid there inside the tank, and a piece of seaweed that is shaped just like a classic Lego piece, so that is neat to see as well. But yeah, that does it for all the individual figures. Next up, I will give you my ranking and overall thoughts on the series. Alright, so now I'm going to do my ranking of the figures in this series from least favorite to favorite, and give you scores out of 10 for each figure. So first up, my least favorite of the series is Hawkeye. I'm disappointed in the execution of this figure, particularly the lack of detail, and this figure does not really impress me very much at all. There's a little bit of detail on the torso, but that's really where it ends. So I'm going to give the Clint Barton, aka Hawkeye minifigure, a 5 out of 10. Moving on, we've got Mr. Knight, the superhero version of the Stephen Grant character from Moon Knight. And while the figure was executed very well and includes a really nice accessory with the goldfish there, I feel that the plain white suit just ends up being kind of boring when translated into minifigure form. So that is why this one ranks so low. And I would give Mr. Knight a 6 out of 10. Up next, we've got Bill Foster, aka Giant Man. And while this figure includes plenty of really nice detail, it's just not a figure that's very interesting to me, especially because we actually haven't seen this character in any actual material yet, as far as the What If series. And it just kind of, I don't know, it looks like one of the mechs from previous LEGO minifigure series, rather than belonging in a Marvel superhero series, even though it is based on something that is supposed to appear in a TV show. The fact that we haven't seen it yet just kind of takes away any attachment I might have to this figure, despite the incredible detail that they were able to include on the figure. So I would give this figure a 6 out of 10. Up next, we've got Storm. And while the figure looks really nice and accurate compared to what we see on the X-Men animated series, I I feel that it is lacking in detail. Her only accessories are these lightning bolts, and the printing is accurate, but again, kind of plain, lacking in detail. Like I mentioned, the new kind of cape piece that she features is really cool, actually, but that's really the main highlight of this figure. So I'm going to give Aurora Monroe, aka Storm, a 7 out of 10. Moving on, we've got Agatha Harkness, and she does feature some really nice detail printed on her torso and the dress piece there, both on front and back. And she does have this really nice accessory of the Darkhold, but she is lacking in arm printing and doesn't feature a new hairpiece as far as I can tell. And the accessories that they include, I think, might be in a new color for her, but aren't a new piece at all. So overall, I think the figure, while it looks good and is accurate to what we see in WandaVision, is a little bit lackluster overall. So I'm going to give Agatha a 7 out of 10. Next, we've got Werewolf by Night, and while his printing is really fantastic, both on the arms and legs and torso and really, everywhere, I feel where he is lacking is in the inclusion of accessories. All he has is the Bloodstone, and that is it. I'm not really sure what else they could have included here, but the figure with just that singular 1x1 tile kind of looks empty-handed compared to the rest of the figures in this lineup. So for that reason, I'm going to give Jack Russell, aka the Werewolf by Night, a 7 out of 10. So now we're into the top half of the series where the minifigures start to get really good, in my opinion. And first up is Hank McCoy, aka Beast, and he's got fantastic printing on all of his pieces, some great accessories, and really just looks fantastic. The only drawback I would say from him is the fact that he doesn't have any printing on his arms. So that is the one downside of this figure, but overall I would give Beast an 8 out of 10. Next up, we've got Kate Bishop, and she also features really fantastic printing on the torso, legs all around, and one of her arms, although the other arm is just a solid color. She has some fantastic accessories with the bow and arrows, the pizza box, as well as Lucky the Pizza Dog, which has great printing, as I mentioned before, with the one eye there. So she looks really fantastic and is definitely one of the better figures of the series. I would give her an 8 out of 10. Up next is a figure that I wasn't expecting to like as much as I did, just from the artwork and the pictures that we saw beforehand. I wasn't really necessarily impressed by what we saw, but opening up the figure and seeing the level of detail that was included really was incredible. I mentioned before about the prosthetic leg and that they were able to use a unique piece for that leg, which may be the first appearance of that piece in a set. And just the printing all around this figure on the legs, the torso, the arms, the back, even her hair piece with the braid has printing. The only drawback really for her, I feel, is the lack of much for accessories. And again, I'm not 100% sure what this is even supposed to represent that she is holding. So that is the one downside, but her printing is probably one of the best out of the whole series. So I would give the Maya Lopez, aka Echo minifigure, a 9 out of 10. And next we've got Jennifer Walters, aka She-Hulk, and again this continues the trend of my favorite figures having really fantastic printing on the arms, the sides of the legs, all around the torso and the front of the legs. She just looks fantastic, has a great dual-sided head, and some great accessories here with the case file and the cell phone with Easter eggs on them. The one only really downside of this figure is that she reuses a hairpiece rather than having a unique hairpiece, which is not necessarily a bad thing. It just keeps her away a little bit from being my favorite figure of the series, but I would give her a 9 out of 10. Up next is another figure I wasn't expecting to enjoy as much as I did, owing to the fact that we've seen him in LEGO form several times before, although I don't own a Wolverine minifigure. This Logan, aka Wolverine, is really fantastic, super detailed, has the printing all the way around the legs, and the arms and the torso, and a great double-sided head. It even features an alternate hairpiece, this sentinel headpiece as well. So really just a fantastic, super accurate figure. I was not expecting this to be one of my favorites of the series, like I said, but it really turned out to be, and I would give Wolverine a 9 out of 10. And then, of course, you can probably tell, my favorite of this series is, of course, the Mark Spector Moon Knight minifigure. That detail on this figure is just fantastic all around. I'm kind of glad it was one of the later ones that I opened, kind of saving the best for last as far as what I opened. But wow, this figure is really just stunning. Tons of detail on the printing, on every component of this figure. Great details, great accessories with the crescents and the scarab beetle. Just a fantastic looking figure and really well done by Lego. So I would give Moon Knight a 10 out of 10, full 10 out of 10. There's nothing really I can find wrong with this figure. It is perfect in my eyes. Some final thoughts on this series. The overall lineup of this series is a really good mix of characters. I would give this lineup, the choice for a lineup, an 8 out of 10. There are some notable exclusions from this series and maybe a few figures that I would have replaced with different and potentially better ones. The most glaring omission, I would say, is Miss Marvel, because she had her own Disney Plus series within this time frame, and all the others that did, She-Hulk, Hawkeye, Moon Knight, even others that have future series coming out like Agatha Harkness and Echo, and even the special with Werewolf by Night, like they all get their own minifigures, and for some reason they skipped Miss Marvel. Now I know she's going to be appearing in the Marvels movie, but I believe she's going to have a different costume in that movie, and the sets that she's going to be released in, I'm pretty sure she's going to be featuring that costume. So I would have loved to have a Miss Marvel figure featuring the costume that she wore on her at the end of the TV series she was on. So that is one big omission. Another one I would say would be Daredevil, who appeared in the She-Hulk show with his yellow and red costume. That would have been a fantastic inclusion to have. Another one that I think should have been included was the Scarlet Scarab from Moon Knight. I think she could have replaced the Mr. Knight figure, so that you're not having two versions of essentially the same character, even though they're two alternate identities. I think having Layla's superhero alter ego featured in this series alongside Mark Spector's alter ego would have been better than having both Moon Knight and Mr. Knight. And as for the other figures that I would have taken out to put in Daredevil and Miss Marvel, obviously Giant Man, I think, would be one that I would have taken out. And then it's kind of a toss-up between Hawkeye and Wolverine, just because we've seen both of those characters so often already. Obviously, Hawkeye features a unique costume, but it definitely is one of the most boring characters. On the other hand, he was the titular character of his own Disney Plus show, so that kind of warrants his inclusion. Wolverine, again, kind of hard to say that I want this figure to not be in this series because of the fantastic execution they did with it. But, just because we've seen him so many times before, he didn't necessarily have to be included in this series. But overall, I'm happy with what we got, despite those couple of omissions that could have been included to make the series better. Obviously, the one real downside of this series is the new packaging with the cardboard boxes instead of the plastic packages. And, that is what it is. I'm not really going to let that play into my final overall rating of the series, but it is something worth noting and something that I really don't like, and I'm sure most of the LEGO fan community and collectible minifigure collectors are not really big fans of. So I'm just going to mention that again. If I average up all of my individual ratings for the figures as well as my opinion on the rating for the overall lineup, that comes out to an average of 7.6 out of 10 for the entire series, which I think is fair. I would say I think the first Marvel collectible minifigure series was maybe a little bit better. I don't have this on hand and haven't looked at it recently to compare, but I do feel like with the prints on a lot of these figures, they really stepped up their game. Although a few of the figures are lacking a little bit, particularly that Hawkeye minifigure that I mentioned before. But yeah, overall, the series is really nice. If you're a fan of Marvel, I would recommend picking it up, but definitely don't do the blind boxes. If you're looking for something in particular, I would just go straight to Bricklink or even eBay to find your individual minifigures. I think most sellers right now aren't really putting too much of a markup on these figures, or if you want to just guarantee yourself that you get a full set and can afford it, I would recommend buying one of the full sealed boxes. That way you pretty much guarantee yourself you're getting 3 complete sets, and you can sell the extras that you don't want, and you get a complete set for your collection, which is what I did. So if you have any questions or comments about this review or the minifigures included in this series, please leave a comment down below. If you enjoyed the video, please like it and subscribe to my channel for more LEGO content in the future. Let me know how you like the layout of this review. This is my first time reviewing a series of minifigures, and I may do more in the future under this format. But if you have any suggestions to make, please feel free to do so. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you on the next one.